anything like that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Above Par Golf Show. So today's guest is Austen Truslow, professional golfer on the Korn Ferry Tour. Austin, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, Alex. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for joining me. So first of all, I just want to start with the start of your golfing career, your golfing life. Tell us a little bit how you first got into golf, why, how.
Well, my dad got me into golf when I was 4 years old. I, played other sports when I was younger, but golf was always my favorite sport because of the individual element of it. And I grew up in a really good environment for golf. I grew up in a small beach town in Florida called New Smyrna Beach. And we had a great little Donald Ross municipal golf course that allowed junior golfers to play for free until they were 16 years old. And it was about 5 minutes from my house. So when I was younger, my parents would just drop me off, and the golf course was pretty much my babysitter. And, it was just a great environment for me because I had other good junior golfers to play with, and we play 36 holes a day in the summer. And it was just a great environment to learn to love the game and be able to play in a very, affordable and convenient way. And then, so having fallen in love with the game, growing up in Central Florida is also a huge advantage because of the level of competition at the junior level. That we had so many of the best junior golfers in the country, and we had a lot of the best coaches in the country. So I began when I was 11 working with Mike Bender, who coached 45 minutes away from where I lived, which was pretty convenient for me. And then, I've been working with him ever since. And growing up in Central Florida, really, I think that there's a reason why I play golf. If I didn't grow up in Central Florida, I might not be playing golf today.
Yeah, I mean, between that, California, as you said, it's probably the two biggest states, isn't it, for golf? So were you playing anything else competitively, or was it always golf?
Well, when I stopped all other sports when I was 12, but I played soccer, baseball, basketball, tennis.
Nice.
And I loved all of them. I love tennis especially because it was also an individual sport, but I knew that I probably wasn't going to play it at as an elite of a level as I could golf. So yeah, I stuck with golf.
I was going to say, were there any of the other ones where you could have maybe made it to the same level as your golf? Because I think it's something that happens quite commonly in America, where some people they can be really competitive with two different sports.
Yeah, I'm a gifted athlete, but I wasn't gifted in anything else that would have gotten me to the level I have in golf. Yeah.
And you mentioned you coach Mike there. So are you still with Mike today?
I am. Yeah.
He's got one of the biggest schools in America. Is that right? I think top 25, something like that.
Yeah, I think he's a top 5 or top 10 instructor, and he has an elite academy there in Lake Mary, Florida.
So how did you guys actually meet then? Did you say you just kind of stopped by his academy and got talking to him, or how did that relationship start?
My mom was searching for an elite instructor within an hour from where we lived, and he was the best. So I just got set up with him when I was younger.
Nice. And never looked back?
Never, no.
So what sort of things does he go through with you, going back to the very start? Like what sort of things did he incorporate into your swing and change, or how did he improve your game and get you to where you are now?
I mean, I've built my entire game around what we've worked on. The first thing we did was I, like a lot of junior golfers, got on my toes at impact. There's still there are a few professional golfers who do that. I mean, Justin Thomas does it. A bunch of LPGA Tour players do it. It's a good way to gain speed, just kind of using the ground. I think Bubba Watson does it too. And that was the first thing we did, because I had a typical inside to out path with a lot of hand rotation through impact. And that's a lot of the tendencies that I had early on, kind of standing up a little bit, early extending in order to shallow the club going into impact, and then a little bit of extra hand release through impact. I mean, those are things that I still work on every day. But my whole swing's been built around the system he's created with the Megsa, the Megsa and the plane board, which are, two great ways to get immediate feedback on your swing and really ingrain any type of swing move that you want to, regardless of who you work with as an instructor.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel like the kind of strong and weak parts of your game are throughout your career, or even now? Like, what do you feel like you're really good at, and what's kind of your weaknesses?
The best part of my game is my driving and my approach shots from about 100 to, actually I'd say 75 to 175 yards. I've been working extra hard on my long irons, which I actually think I was struggling with because of the injury that I've had for a while.
Okay.
But my left, it's okay. It's not the injury. There's the difference between like the tendonitis I've had for a while and then the structural damage that I've recently experienced starting in April. Mm-hmm. I tore while playing in Las Vegas. I tore 2 tendons, a tendon. I mean, I'm sorry. I tore 2 ligaments, a tendon, my dorsal capsule, and I'm sure it didn't develop then, but I have a cyst as well. But the cyst isn't a big deal. So I just had surgery. Wow. The tendonitis, I think, made me a little bit hesitant to maintain a lot of shaft angle, like a shaft angle going into impact. And so I was occasionally chunking some of my long irons and my woods, where I never previously had chunked it with those clubs. I've always had a lot of lag in my swing. Mm-hmm. So I think last year, even though I had one of the best, I think I was number 2 or 3 in greens of regulation on Korn Ferry, I still struggled from 200 to 250, and a lot of that was contact. And then building up to Las Vegas, I was starting to experience a little bit more pain, but then it really gave out in Las Vegas. And so I just got surgery last week, and hopefully can build up during the off season. I mean, I'm not going to be able to play the rest of the season, so hopefully get healthy and be ready to play for next year. It looks like I'll maintain some status and be able to get in at least 4 or 5 events.
It's just a shame, right? Because I think you're just sitting outside the top 75 at the moment. 77th, is it? And top 75 is the one that goes to the finals.
It is. Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer.
It's really unfortunate, but thankfully was able to get surgery, and the surgeon believes that it was a successful surgery and I should be able to play, hopefully by the end of the year.
That's good. And how did that come about then? I know you said that it was at the Vegas tournament, but did you say it was something that kind of started maybe earlier than just happened at Vegas, or was it a particular shot you did? Like, how did that happen?
Well, it happened on literally my last tee shot of the day, the first round, the 18th hole. It's a really short par 4, and it was downwind and the ball goes far there. So I was only hitting a 5-iron off the tee. Mm-hmm. And I hit the 5-iron, pretty hard, but I didn't even take a divot. The ground's really firm out in Vegas. I mean, it's a desert out there. Sure. And the ground is very thatchy. It's you don't take those big sodded divots out there. It's kind of like I don't know. It's just very dense ground.
Sure.
And I hit the ground, but I didn't take a divot. And the head the club head passed the hands, and I just felt an immediate pop in my hand and wrist. And just had a lot of pain shooting up my forearm and down to my fingers, and I couldn't move my fingers without my hand hurting. And that was the first time where I wasn't able to play because of my wrist. So, I played the rest of the hole with my right hand because I didn't know how severe it was at the time. I thought maybe it was just something that was ridiculously painful, but by the next day would feel okay. But then I quickly realized once I got in the car and couldn't even, move my fingers without, intense pain, that I wasn't gonna be able to play the next day.
Jeez. So that happened in your left side?
Yes.
Yeah, so you played the rest with the right. Is that where the right-handed chipping coming from then? Because you're famous for the one-handed chipping, right?
Yes, I chip with my right hand exclusively. Well, I mean, some shots that require two hands, whether it's a thick lie out of the rough or a flop shot, or some other types of shots, maybe like a chip, like a putt chip kind of motion, I'll use two hands. So I would say I use my right hand chipping at least 70% of the time when I'm around the greens, but there are circumstances where I'll use two hands.
But where did that one-handed chip come from? When did you start to do that, and why?
Well, I started struggling my senior year of high school chipping. I think I had some bad mechanical habits. I was delivering, the club from the inside with a shut face. And that's just death while chipping, especially off the tight Bermuda lies that we have in the Southeast.
Sure.
And I knew I had to change that. So I, started changing pretty much everything mechanically when it comes to chipping. But I think I had ingrained such doubt and fear of chipping because of my previous patterns, that even though my mechanics had changed, I really didn't have much confidence. And so I was searching for either, a mechanical thought that could help, or, any mental training that could help. And I, started doing a one-handed drill to use the bounce and, deliver the club more on plane. And I immediately started chipping better with it. And at first I didn't even think to chip exclusively with my right hand. I was just trying to ingrain that pattern with my right hand and then be able to do it with the left hand on the club. But I realized over time that I wasn't having the success in practice with two hands that I was with one hand. So I figured, a thing with golf is when you're playing on the mini tours, you're willing to do anything to get immediate results, because especially at my age, I mean, I didn't have any status in the United States or anywhere when I started chipping with one hand. And I thought that I probably, chipping the way I was with two hands, I wasn't going to be able to get status. Even though my ball striking was the best part of my game and I could win mini tour events without chipping well at all, I still had to I had to be able to chip at least, I would say 3 or 4 out of 10 on the professional level to be able to play on any of the tours. So I had to be able to figure out a way to chip. I knew that I probably would never chip a 10 out of 10 by professional standards, but you have to be able to do it to at least a certain level to compete it on the PGA Tour. So I had to figure out a way. And at the time, that was the only way that could get me to a 3 or 4 out of 10. So that's what I stuck with. And I just tried to develop that the best I could while maintaining and gaining in the other areas of my game.
Yeah. Are you surprised that more people don't do it? Because I mean, I've heard a lot of other professionals talk about it, but even myself, when I learned how to chip, my teacher basically explained it like, you really are only using that right hand to kind of guide the chip shot. Your left is kind of just there for the ride. And I've heard a couple of professionals say that they have the exact sort of same feeling. So it's almost kind of like, well, do you really need your left hand on that club to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for the vast majority of chips around the green, simple chips and pitches, you really don't need your left hand. It just enables you to have more shots with your left hand. So to play golf at the highest level, if you're not hitting the ball well, you do need your left hand. But for the amateur level and the junior level, you could probably be the best junior golfer in the world or one of the best amateurs in the world without your left hand on the club. And you could teach a lot. You could teach a lot of, mediocre golfers chipping with their right hand, and they would probably chip better.
Yeah. So your golf teacher, Mike, he had no issues with that when you started to do it?
No, Mike's a tinkerer at heart. That's really what he loves, is developing, new ideas and systems of getting better. And so he's open to any way that can help you get better. He's pretty much open to it. So he didn't have any
Good.
problems with it. And Mike himself suffers at times with poor chipping.
Hmm.
And he understood, so there really was no problem.
Okay. I think your video just got off there, but
I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, it's all right.
I'm sorry, Mike. I got a call coming in. I didn't know how to get rid of.
No, it's all right. So yeah, so just going back into your career then a little bit with college. Were you on the Virginia to the college at the start, right? And then you decided to go back to Florida playing mini tours nearby. Is that right?
That is.
So what was the thinking behind that then? Did you originally decide to go to Virginia to play in college, but then just backed out, or what happened with that?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what happened. I went to Virginia, having some doubts about moving up north and being in the colder weather and most likely playing less golf. I was so spoiled my whole life in Florida. But Virginia has an incredible golf program. And, since I left, they've built one of the best, indoor training facilities in the world. So if I was 18 years old now, I might have stayed. But I had some doubts, and as I said, I was so spoiled in Florida. When in high school, I was playing the AJGA events and Florida Junior Tour events, and Hurricane Junior Golf Tour events. But I was also playing mini tour events, with guys that play on the Latin American Tour, the Canadian Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour, and even the PGA Tour. And I got out of school, my junior and senior year of high school. I would get out of class around 11:30 and be able to go straight to the course. And I was pretty spoiled with some of the best coaching and competition already. And it proved, that system that I had in high school, led to me becoming one of the best junior players in the country, when I was a good junior golfer before, but nowhere near that level. So it was a system that was working and making me a better player. And I knew that once I got to Virginia, that I was just more comfortable being back home, developing my game with that system. And so I decided to come back home and get my degree from Rollins College while working on my game. And I was able to develop a pretty flexible learning schedule there, where I went to class at night. So I could literally play, tournaments 2 hours away within 2 hour radius every day, and then come home and go to class. So it was a different way of doing it, but it worked really well for me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like quite a different path, because as well, did you have the option to play in a college in Florida, or did you not want to do that either? Because like I said, you played those kind of mini tours, didn't you? But you didn't actually play for college, Florida in college.
No, I was really lucky with my grades and test scores in the Florida education system with, academic scholarship, to where I could go to school for a very low cost, and then live where I was living beforehand, and work on what I needed to there. So it wasn't, I'd thought a little bit about playing college golf, but at the same time, considering I was getting a good degree at a low cost and also working on my game, I figured it made sense to at least be able to make money while playing. So that's what I did.
Well, yeah, because I imagine there's probably a lot of players that have to put all their eggs in one basket in terms of the golf, and just try and go for it despite the cost and hope that they're going to make it. And obviously it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, what's so wonderful about college golf is you get to play, against the best players on the best courses, with, and it's all for free. That's what I missed. I missed competing against the best peers my age, as well as competing on the most elite courses in the country. That's probably the thing that the courses and that schedule a college coach is able to give you at the elite Division I level is what I missed most doing what I was doing, because the mini tour courses you play in Florida are shorter, older courses that require very low scores, and easier conditions, and the college players play the toughest schedule of anyone, even tougher than the PGA Tour, because they're playing the hardest courses in the country, not in season. They're not. And then when the PGA Tour plays a course, it's usually the best weather that course will have that time of year, and the course will be in the best condition that time of year. But the college kids play, sometimes in freezing weather on the hardest courses, and sometimes they're playing 36 holes in one day. So it is. I think college golf does prepare you to face the hardest conditions that you'll ever face, which is possibly the most valuable aspect of college golf.
Yeah. And besides from the Korn Ferry Tour, you played a little bit in some of the Asian tournaments as well, I saw. And did you play in Canada Q School for a little bit?
I didn't play on the Canadian Tour. I did Canadian Q School a
Q School.
times, I think. I did the Q School a couple times. I never got through. I don't think I ever played it when I was chipping one-handed. I think I was really struggling with the chipping while I was playing it. But yeah, I won both stages of Asian Tour Q School in 2019, or 18 or 19. And then it was kind of a weird situation where I was playing over in Asia, but I got an exemption into the Puerto Rico Open. And then I played really well in the Puerto Rico Open, got a top 10. And then I decided to stay in the United States to do the Monday qualifiers, because if you make a cut on the PGA Tour, you don't have to do pre-qualifying the rest of the season. And I did the math with my agent, and we saw that if I could get one or two more solid finishes that year, that I could get into the Korn Ferry Tour finals with the PGA Tour, which obviously would do a lot more for me than staying in Asia. And looking back on it, I'm really glad I didn't stay in Asia, because I might still be there with COVID. you know. So it turned out to be the right decision. I ended up, Monday qualifying into a couple other events on the PGA Tour that season, but I didn't make any of the cuts. So I had to go to Korn Ferry Tour Q School that fall.
Yeah. So it was 2019, right, when you played in the Puerto Rico Open?
Yes, 2019.
Was that the one where you hit a hole in one? Did I see on your Instagram?
Yeah, on the 70th hole, I had a hole in one. It was such an emotional roller coaster that week. I had the goal of getting a top 10, but I'd just come off, I think, 3 missed cuts in Asia, and I was jet lagged. I flew from Australia to Puerto Rico, which is just about the most brutal flight you can do. And then my clubs didn't get in. And it was just kind of a disaster leading up to it, but I just kind of put my hands up and said, I can't control anything other than what I can do on the course. And so I played really well that week and got that lucky hole in one, and just snuck in the top 10. I tied for 10th, and then got in the Honda Classic as a result.
Yeah, and then you had a pretty good run last year in the Korn Ferry, 3 top 5 finishes. What's your kind of highlights of your career been so far up until now?
As a junior golfer,
just in general, like things you've achieved, in golf in general.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say being awarded the Byron Nelson Award my senior year of high school was really cool. That's one of the most prestigious awards you can receive as a junior golfer. Winning the junior players was huge, because that's one of, if not the biggest junior tournament in the world. Winning both stages of Asian Tour Q School in Thailand when I'd never been to Asia before was a really cool experience. Obviously getting a top 10 on the PGA Tour was amazing.
Yeah.
And especially because that was my first PGA Tour start as a professional, so that was really cool accomplishment. And then last year getting 3 top 5 finishes on the Korn Ferry Tour, including one second place finish where I thought, when I was walking off the 18th hole, I hadn't seen any leaderboards and I thought I'd won it. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I mean, at the time I was like almost breaking down because I was just like so overwhelmed with just emotions because of everything. I mean, every professional golfer has just endured hell at some point, and right now I'm enduring a lot, so it's going to feel even more rewarding if I can get back out there and accomplish more.
But, what sort of timeline have they put on the injury then, the doctors and stuff? When should you be getting back to playing?
There isn't a set timeline. I have a cast on for the next 8 weeks. I have I have stitches or sutures in, and then I also have 4 pins in my wrist right now. One of them sticking out of the skin, so I can't sweat or get wet right now at all because I can get infected. So I'm like confined indoors because I live in Florida. So I mean, Florida this time of year, if you're outside for more than 2 minutes, you start to sweat. So I'm like a prisoner right now, honestly. Crazy.
It's pretty tough.
It's gonna be, I would say it's probably gonna be at least 3-4 months until I can find some sort of normalcy with my daily activities.
Yeah. And I want to touch on a couple of other stuff that I saw that you've done. I don't know if the charity is still going, but you launched a charity in 2018, the Birdies for Charity, to benefit Dave Thomas Foundation.
Dave Thomas Foundation, yeah.
So is that still running today? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's not. I'm not running it today. I will donate this year to the charity. Dave Thomas Foundation is one of the leading foster care foundations in the United States. It was founded by Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, who was actually a foster child himself. And it's a great organization. And my mom's a guardian ad litem and what she does with that is handles affairs for children in very difficult domestic situations. And so growing up, I've been very fortunate to have parents that love each other, that are together, a great home life. And, that's probably one of the greatest crises facing our country today is, a lot of with, high divorce rates and, a lot of uncommitted fathers and a lot of mental health problems and drug abuse problems. A lot of children don't grow up in loving homes. So that's probably, if you were to do one thing, in my opinion, to do one thing to help, the country or any country in the world, it'd be to help children in struggling families. So that's the charity that I chose to raise money for. And going forward, that's the charity that I'll stick with. Yeah.
And talking of kind of like the mental health and the mental side of golf, I think your caddy as well is it called Mental Golf? It's a podcast, is it?
Well, he has a podcast, but he also has a website. It's called mentalgolftype.com. He's developed a system that coaches and players can use to better understand what creates their stress, specifically based on their personality type, as well as how they can how they can shift from their stressed mode to their best mode and create the best performances for themselves on the course or in life.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it must be pretty close to your heart, especially now with you being out injured. It's got to be something that's obviously tough for yourself as well as other golfers. So, it sounds like a really good cause and a really good.
It's awesome. I would recommend all of your viewers to go at least check it out, mentalgolftype.com, and at least take the free test, learn your type, and even if you don't apply it for golf, you can apply it to your daily life.
Yeah. Well, listen, Austen, it's great to talk to you today, and I hope we see you soon on the Korn Ferry Tour again when you're fit and well.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And everybody that wants to find you, it's on Instagram. It's Austen Truslow 1. Is there anywhere else that anybody can find you for your content?
That's it. That's it.
All right, man. Cool. Well, thanks very much for taking the time out. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.